Gavin Newsom, the slimy snake oil salesman from California, finally publicly admits that he is running for president in 2028, despite claiming there won't be any elections in 2028. But in an extraordinary and uniquely Gavin Newsom way, he manages to blow up his entire presidential run on the very first day by doing the most unthinkable and cringy thing you can ever imagine. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but first, let's hear Gavin announce that he is in fact running for president in 2028.
When I saw you slinging shots behind the coffee bar, I thought this guy might run for president.
I have no idea. The idea that a guy who got 960 on his SAT, that still struggles to read scripts, that was always in the back of the classroom, the idea that you even throw that out is in and of itself extraordinary. Who the hell knows? I'm looking forward to who presents themselves in 2028 and who meets that moment. And that's the question for the American people.
Is it fair to say after the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought?
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying. And I can't do that.
Oh, gee shucks, Gavin Newsom can't tell a lie. He's the second coming of Honest Abe. I mean, what an arrogant con man to even let that statement come out of his mouth. Gavin Newsom has been forcing the residents of California to suffer and unwillingly participate as cannon fodder for his war against Donald Trump just so Gavin Newsom can get some national spotlight attention. Gavin Newsom represents the same fake, empty, inauthentic things we didn't like about Kamala Harris, but he's worse. Kamala was unsure of herself. Gavin Newsom's ignorance, grift, and inauthenticity is fueled by massive confidence. He was born to be a corrupt, power-hungry politician because here he was just a month ago claiming there weren't going to be any elections in 2028 because, you know, Donald Trump's a dictator.
I fear that we will not have an election in 2028. I really mean that in the core of my soul, unless we wake up to the code red, what's happening in this country, and we wake up soberly to how serious this moment is.
See, he says things like that to appeal to the radical Trump deranged base, who want to have their concerns addressed and want to feel like their politicians hold the same level of urgency. But in Gavin Newsom's heart of heart, he doesn't believe that Trump's a dictator. He knows there's going to be elections just like normal in 2028. That's why he's been gearing up for a presidential run. Democrat voters are too stupid to realize their politicians never believed Donald Trump was a dictator or a Nazi. They just thought they could scream it enough times and it would scare the moderates in the middle to vote for them and ignore their horrendous track record under Joe Biden. They thought it was a way to galvanize people and get them to the polls. They thought they were going to win, they would jail him again and everybody could just move on. But now that they lost, their radical base is holding them to their rhetoric. They're saying, you're the ones who told us he was an existential threat. You're the one who told us he was going to take away all of our rights. You're the ones who told us he was the second coming of Adolf Hitler. And now you're just going back to politics as usual? That's why the entire government is shut down right now. Because instead of Democrats admitting they were just lying and using insightful rhetoric, they continued to double down. And now their radical base is demanding that the government stay shut down. Otherwise, they're going to elect people who are willing to fight fascism harder. But here's where we get to this insanely cringe move by Gavin Newsom. After getting rejected by Joe Rogan to go on his podcast, Gavin Newsom goes on the podcast of two former NBA players. And here's where he introduces his new hip with the people black persona, Gavin Newsom.
But also, you know, it was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, you know, just getting obsessed, you know, sitting there with the, you know, the Wonder Bread and 5 stacks of,
it's like the White Stack 5 story.
Come on. Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Man, bro. Are you talking about me?
Young YG.
YG, man.
Every day in the backyard, just bouncing the basketball, throwing the ball against the wall until the ball is just like fraying, man. And your arms fall off. That's it, whole thing. So just, and then, you know, then this student that was shitty student is in the back with his head down, all of a sudden started throwing the baseball a little faster than everyone else. And started, you know, make a few free throws because I was sitting there practicing 500 of them every damn night. And in high school, I look up in the stands, my dad's back up there.
Okay, dope.
And it's like, man. And then he's bringing his friends, and you're captain of the team, and you're like, gee, and it just saved me, and it got me into college.
Black people, I want to shake you through the camera. This is what the Democrat Party thinks of you. This is the same as Kamala Harris bringing out Megan Thee Stallion to twerk for you, saying she washes her collard greens in the bathtub. This is the same as Hillary Clinton saying she carries around hot sauce in her purse. This is the same as Joe Biden going on an interview with Charlemagne the God, a black man, and declaring that if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're not black. This is the same as Kathy Hochul saying that black children don't know what a computer is. What is it going to take for black people to realize the complete and utter disgust and disdain and low opinion that the Democrat Party has of you? Yeah, man, I was just raised on Wonder Bread and mac and cheese, shooting free throws in the backyard like Michael Jordan on Space Jam. Democrats see black people through a compilation of racist stereotypes. They think you're too dumb to know what a computer is. They think you're too dumb to figure out how to get an ID. Like, how are black people not mad that Democrats throw them under the bus, call them a bunch of low IQ idiots to perpetuate their cheating and allow illegal aliens to vote for them? The most racist people walking around right now in the United States are hands down, by far, white liberals. If a black person refuses to accept that they're a second-class citizen, that they're a victim, that their skin color means they're worse off than white people, a white liberal will berate a black person till they are blue in the face, explaining to them why they are less. Gavin Newsom thinks black people are so simple-minded, he can say, hey, I like basketball. Don't you black people like basketball too? Okay, vote for me. And while everybody in the United States, besides Gavin Newsom, knows that Gavin Newsom shouldn't be president, he's still throwing his hat in the race because there are enough deranged, pissed off liberals who simply like the fact that he's mean to Donald Trump on Twitter. But let's take a look at this poll that came out from California that shows even Californians think this man is horrible.
And you ask Californians about how they see their state on other issues. Where is California seen as a trendsetter for the country or not?
Right. Yeah, Californians have often sometimes thought of themselves in this way. They do in a couple of important terms: on technology and innovation, on culture, even to some extent on environmental policy, but less so on things like economic and tax policy, which relates to this, and this will come back to the nation. 2/3 of Californians tell us they think the cost of living there is unmanageable. One thread you're going to see, even in this year's elections in 25, for all states, is going to be cost of living, is going to be the economy. No different in California than any place else, Lindsay.
So to summarize that poll, Californians vote themselves very highly in the vibes category, but very poorly in the everything else that matters quality of life category. They think very highly of their culture. Well, we know what their culture is, and we don't want that. They vote themselves very highly on environmental policies. But those same feel-good, look at me, I'm saving the planet policies is what has directly led to California not building enough water reservoirs, spending $200 billion on a high-speed rail project, insanely high housing costs because there's so much regulation. Nothing can get done in California without it being extremely expensive because of those policies. And then everything else was just awful. Politics, economic policy, affordability. But hey, the sun is shining and there's palm trees, so I guess. These are the exact policies Gavin Newsom would implement on a federal level. It ruined San Francisco. It ruined California. If you think the immigration crisis was bad under Joe Biden, wait until Gavin Newsom opens the floodgates. Gavin Newsom is just a power-hungry megalomaniac. If I got offered the job to be president of the United States right now, I would say no, because I would probably do a horrible job. But Gavin Newsom doesn't care that he'd do a horrible job. He will gladly take it because that means he has the power to cause more chaos and suffering. And speaking of Gavin Newsom power grabs, Arnold Schwarzenegger is back fighting hard against Gavin Newsom's Prop 50. Here he is slamming the Gavin Newsom excuse that this abandoning of the independent redistricting committee is only going to be temporary.
I think when they say this is temporary, there is no such thing. I mean, the longest programs are government programs that are temporary. Okay, just remember that if it is a tax program or if it is the redistricting program, anything that is temporary with government is permanent. So in the year 2032, when the independent redistricting commission is supposed to come back, they're going to say, wait a minute, there's still gerrymandering going on in Texas. There's still gerrymandering going on in Ohio. There's still gerrymandering going on in Florida. We have to continue with the gerrymandering. This is what's going to happen. They will find an excuse. So therefore, I don't think it is temporary. So that's total fantasy.
And to get proof of what Arnold is warning about being true, look no further than the Affordable Care Act subsidies they're arguing about right now. They were supposed to be temporary subsidies during COVID. Now, because the damn thing is so broken and unaffordable, and people have gotten used to their extra subsidies, now the Democrats are arguing we can never take them away. They must be permanent. And outside of that blatant proof, what Arnold is warning about is simply common sense. If California must engage in gerrymandering to counter Texas's 5 seats, then why would they ever return to the Independent Redistricting Committee if they will just give those 5 seats back to Republicans in California? They'll say, oh, nope, Texas still has those undemocratic gerrymanders from 2025, but Democrats will support it because they believe the lie that this is a problem that Republicans started. Jake Tapper tries to say the same thing to Arnold, who claps back and fact checks him that this was started by Democrats.
As you acknowledged, this all started because of redistricting in Texas, and this was Trump pushing Republican-controlled states to throw out their current congressional maps so as to cook the books, so that it is less likely for Democrats to retake control of the House during the next year midterms. I mean, is it fair to argue that
Well,
do you believe that the Republican Party
Jake.
is starting this?
No, Jake. There has been gerrymandering going on for 200 years. There is such extreme gerrymandering going on that in a state like Massachusetts, it has like 40% of the people voting for Trump. They have 0 representatives. The Republican Party has 0 representatives sent to the House. Think about that. In New Mexico, if 45% of the people voted for Trump and voted Republican, and 0 is sent to the House, 0 representatives from the Republican Party. So there's gerrymandering, crazy gerrymandering going on all over the country, and we wanted to try to stop it in California, and we did stop it in California, and we went around the country. So I think this whole thing about finger pointing and saying they did it, so therefore we should doing it, that's not really the way to go.
Democrats love to conveniently ignore that there are like 10 blue states that have 40% Republican voters and not a single member in the House of Representatives. And then there's like another 10 states that have some 40% Republican voters who only have like 15% Republican representation. Like the whole argument for the case that's being heard by the Supreme Court about the Voting Rights Act is that Louisiana has 33% black people, so it deserves 33% of the representation. So when it comes to skin color, if representation isn't equal, then it's discrimination, then it's racism. But when it's purely ideological gerrymandering, then the Democrats have no problem with it at all. But the Democrats never learned their lesson, and they're going to continue to put out a different variation of the exact same California elitist liberal politician. The only problem with Gavin Newsom is his track record is truly so terrible. It cannot stand up to any scrutiny in a debate. And thus, I truly believe his chances of ever sitting in the Oval Office are a big, fat 0. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.